Hello and welcome to the Daily Brown Bag. Today we're going to be talking about outsourcing SEO in 2014. I'm Chad Hill and I'm joined by Adam Stetzer.
Yeah, good morning, Chad. Welcome to the Brown Bag. Talking about outsourcing SEO, Chad, I feel like we've been talking about this for 5 years, and I guess the more things change, the more they stay the same, yet some things have really changed. So there'll probably be some themes in here that are similar to those things we would have said in 2009 around the decision to outsource SEO, and there's some things that are just brand spanking new. So here's a few of the headlines here and some stats to get us into this discussion. SEO is definitely different than it was in 2009. We all know that. What used to be focused very heavily on link building has evolved. SEO is much more multifaceted now. You see it bleeding into social media. You see successful SEO campaigns relying heavily on email marketing to bring people back after they've acquired an email address. And of course, with the algorithmic updates from Google, things like Hummingbird and Panda and Penguin, the game is different. How you have to earn your backlinks, semantic search, how you even do on-site SEO, all this has changed in 2014. And I think we would say now that this relentless focus on individual keyword ranking, head term rankings is no longer the case. Google took that data away from analytics last year in 2013. And furthermore, we've seen through a lot of different strategies that an overemphasis on a single keyword, certainly over-anchoring it in places you're earning backlinks is very bad now, and the anti-spam filters are looking for those things as signals of manipulation. So you really, if you're smart and you're still on SEO, you've moved much more into content marketing and further away from link building, and you've certainly relaxed all these ideas or this focus you had on anchor text. Does that mean SEO is less popular? No. Chad, here's some very interesting statistics. Content Marketing Institute says 93% of marketers plan to use content marketing in 2014. I think that's fascinating because you read a lot of blog posts saying, hey, SEO always was content marketing, this is nothing new. Well, it is kind of something new because the focus is shifting, and these stats show that everybody is now engaged in it. According to Brafton, 92% of marketers believe that content creation is either very or somewhat effective for SEO. That's a very high statistic, almost universal agreement that if you're in SEO, one of the effective strategies you want to use here is content marketing. Now, how do you get that done? And outsourcing, in our discussion on should you outsource SEO, Constant Contact did a survey recently that indicated 35% of small businesses do outsource their SEO, so about 1 in 3. But in that same survey, 50% said they would prefer to outsource it over the 35% that do. The main reason they cite for not outsourcing it is they believe the cost is too high and they can't afford it. So let's cue up this discussion, Chad, and what are some of the reasons small business should really think about, maybe they're not seeing the whole picture, when it comes to that decision on whether to outsource SEO or keep it in-house?
Yeah, and I do think that in 2014 a lot has changed, but a lot is very much the same in terms of making that decision. And the three factors we've always talked about, and we should maybe list the factors and talk about how each of them maybe have shifted a little bit as we go into 2014. But one of the three factors are that you outsource when there's economies of scale, you outsource when there are special technologies that are needed, and you also outsource when there's specialized knowledge that would be hard for you to maintain or build inside your team. So I think all three of those things apply, but they apply for slightly different reasons in 2014. So let's take them. Economies of scale. Well, in 2009, you just needed some writers to write a lot of content and someone to edit and put a lot of keywords on your page. I think you flash forward to 2014, it's actually harder because you need someone who not only can write very well, but you need graphic designers who can take those ideas and turn them into pretty pictures. You need people who are familiar with videography to take those same ideas and make videos out of them. So actually the number of resources that you need to get things done have grown, and therefore the specialized skills and the economies of scale of you having those people on your team make the case 100% for outsourcing SEO. When you flip over and you look at something like technology, same idea. Yeah, a couple years ago it was all about ranking trackers and what the keywords that were referring you the most traffic were, but now we're much more into engagement metrics and trying to understand that what is the value of the content, because the value of the content isn't always immediately understandable as it was a couple years ago in terms of it getting you a ranking and that ranking bringing traffic on a certain keyword. There's much more of a long tail and a nurturing that's involved, because that content marketing can help influence or nurture people that come to your website through social, maybe some through SEO, and then even when they do come, they may not immediately convert. So the picture has gotten harder, and the technology to put all that together in one place is harder than it was in 2009, but you still need that technology to really understand things. So those are some of the three reasons that we've often talked about in terms of why you should outsource SEO.
Yeah, those are solid, Chad, and it seems like the business case on why a small business would decide to outsource SEO is solid. I think a lot of firms are they're worried about cost, as the survey results indicate, but I think when you actually think through all the things you've talked about, you realize there's no way you could approach the quality and breadth of that in-house for the same cost. I think people are also worried about losing control, and we talk about this a lot in our SEO reseller community. Outsourcing a process does not mean outsourcing control. I know this from back in my previous life when I used to outsource to big companies like GE and AT&T and Verizon. I was the outsourced organization, and don't think for a minute that they lost control. They had their scorecards and their KPIs and their performance measures and the SLAs, and they held us to very high standards, but they were able to achieve better results through outsourcing without losing control, and they saw that as a point of pride. And I think they applied the same logic you're talking about here, Chad. And the last point I think I'd make on this discussion, and we've talked about this a lot, when we were at the Leading and Local conference in San Francisco in December, we heard this excellent talk from HubSpot saying, the future of people who will dominate content marketing and content creation will have figured out how to turn very high quality content generation into an assembly line operation in their organization, leveraging their resources to be able to really outpace their competitors. Now, I think when people hear that term, they recoil a little bit because they think assembly line and volume is equated with lower quality. And his point was that's a false dichotomy. What you need to figure out how to do is be very efficient at making very high quality content, and that does require a lot of specialization and an assembly line mentality, just like it does to be very efficient at making a very high quality automobile. The same business principles apply here. So I think as you think about how could I pull that off in-house versus outside in a firm that does this all day long, the logic's fairly clear. But we're in this industry, so perhaps we're jaded. We certainly like to hear opposing opinions. Share your comments. Let us know if you don't agree with us, and we hope you'll subscribe. Come back to our Brown Bag tomorrow.